Hey folks, we are going to continue with artwork here for the Spelljammer Combat and Exploration supplement that we're creating, published on DMsGuild at the end of January. Give me a second here to check my signal. We'll get started. Let's see, mic check, mic check. 1, 2, 3. How we doing? 3. How we doing? 3. It sounds like we're doing okay. Okay, cool. Let's do that. And I'm just punching buttons across Discord and the Reddits and the Twitter. So give me a hot second here for me to update all my bits. I'm going to go through, I'll just explain who I am here real quick for those that don't know. And we'll get started. So hey, my name is Theurgy. I create role-playing games, I illustrate them, I publish them online, and I have been focusing my attention on Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition for the past 5 years. There's a slew of links in the description down below that will point you towards other works that I've already created on DMsGuild.com. They all have free previews, so you can check out the stuff that I do. If you're here for artwork, there's probably about 150 different illustrations across the lot of those. If you're here for 5e mechanics as a player or as a DM, I run campaigns from level 1 to 20 in about 250 some odd hours. So let's see, check. So if you want to check out that stuff, click into it, open it up. If you think this stuff is cool, consider making a purchase to encourage more behavior like that. So let's see. I just posted to Reddit, so big shout out to the Reddit community, our Spelljammers, for supporting the stuff that I do. You guys ask a lot of cool questions, and I love having answers for them. I just posted I'm on Twitter at Theurgy. If you're still on the Twitter X platform, be welcome to join me there to check things out. Best way to support the channel is like, subscribe, hit the bell icon for notifications. We picked up more subscribers yesterday, so thanks a lot, guys, for keeping the flow. Let's see, we're at episode 292 right now, and we created this book cover around episode 15, so you can jump into the Wayback Machine here by clicking more, and then here's the full playlist. Go back to the 15th episode, and you can see us building that. Everything from the 15th episode to this now 292nd episode has been maps, tokens, and page illustrations from start to end, so you can check out that entire process and be talking about stuff for hours on end. Let's see, I have a Discord community up and running now. My Twitter, and if you want to toss me a couple bucks to keep the lights up, Patreon certainly helps, and thanks a lot for folks that do. Let's see. So yeah, I create books, I illustrate them, so we have an idea. Like I said, I run campaigns from level 1 to 20. When I have an idea, we'll play test it. If it plays well, we'll hire an editor to clean up the words. If the words come out good, then we can move forward with building the supplements. So once all the text is good, we break it up into bite-sized chunks of ideas that can fit on pages. Right now we're, say, for example, working on the Random Wildspace System Generator here, with world compositions, unusual compositions, parallel compositions, and then asteroid sizes for when they are in orbits. So we have all these blank spaces in the illustration, in the book, that we need to fill with illustrations. So we'll extract this page as a PDF. We'll drop it here into Photoshop. See here, blank spot for PDF. Let's open up the illustration and let's get to work. So we'll do this. We do this 6 days a week, Monday through Saturday, and on Sunday I publish something that's pre-recorded. So if you want to stay up to date on what we got going on here, if you think that some of this stuff is cool, I'd love to have you. Let's see. So right now, here is a different elemental thing that I did for an illustration in the Gathering of the Realms, which was a MTG color conversion of Toril, the Forgotten Realms, into a color mana system that I have, basically using color language to express the narrative of these of the planet in Forgotten Realms, Toril. So we can use this as a color sampler. So that's what we're gonna do. I'm happy with the sketch as is. Asteroids here floating off, a cloud, a gaseous cloud. Oh wait, let's look at what this one is. So we're looking at world composition. So roll on the following table to determine the primary element of each planet or moon: air, earth, fire, water, or an unusual composition. Roll 1d4 on the worlds of unusual composition table below. Worlds of unusual composition. Composition, parallel composition. Instead of a world composed of one of the 4 basic elements, it is composed of a para-elemental. Roll 1d4 on the adjacent para-elemental table. Magma, ooze, ice, which is a mixture of water and air, and then smoke, which is a mix of air and fire. And then you roll these 6. We had the air quality tables and the visibility tables that you saw yesterday. So each of these elements has a different likelihood of obscuring or clear air visibility and clean or poisonous air. Let's see. Cloud cluster. Instead of one world, it's an air world with the moons clustered within the same planetary system. Roll 1d10 once on both the air quality, visibility, and world temperature tables below for the entire cloud cluster. So, ring of moons instead of one world, 1d4 plus 1 earthly moons are positioned equidistant from each other in a shared orbit around the central star. Roll 1d4 times 100 miles once the diameter of all moons in the ring. Roll 1d10 for each moon on the air quality and visibility tables below. Any moons rolled on the orbiting moons table above are instead asteroids, 1d8 times 10 miles in diameter. Randomly choose which planet each asteroid orbits. Asteroid belt. Instead of one world, it's a scattered field of asteroids in a shared orbit around the central star. Roll 1d4 on the asteroids table below. 1d4. Size, 1d10 times 5 feet, 1d10 times 50 feet, 1d10 times 500 feet, 1d10 times 1 mile. There you go. So that's the rough format of how this stuff works. And then if you check out yesterday or here, you can see that we have the air quality from fresh to deadly, or there's also the option of no atmosphere, and visibility for unhindered, reduced, or very reduced visibility. World temperatures, depending on how far away from the planet it is, it's going to roll on the temperature table, which is going to be anywhere from unnaturally hot to temperate to unnaturally cold. So you can have an array of different type of environments. This is what we were working on yesterday. I'm pretty I added in some more grit and texturing here, but I'm not happy with how I've basically canvassed this entire hillside up into this mountain here with plant life. So I think I'm going to strip out, and this is how far I got last night, like building out all this stuff. And when I'm looking at it, I'm like, that texture is not jiving with me, and it's overcomplicating the background here, which is very simple and I like. So I think I'm going to get rid of all this vegetation, and I'm going to replace it with cragginess, and then have the only vegetation, these lava trees that are still persisting in the environment. So if I scrap out all this stuff, add in scrag, and then simplify the environment to be a forest of leafless trees, then I think I'll be happy with it, but I'm going to have to do that over the weekend. Anyway, we're moving on to the next piece. So that's where all these things come from, and what we're illustrating here is the cloud cluster. Instead of one world, it's an air world with the moons clustered within the same planetary atmosphere. Kind of like how Flash Gordon has multiple worlds that all exist inside of the Mungo system. So I'm going to just, I don't know, let's just do this. We've been successfully stealing color cues from the border. Why not just continue leaning into that idea? It's proven well for us so far, and this is another really cool opportunity for us to do that. So let's do that, and let's do that. We can build, we can just build a basic background here. And you got to cut it off at some point, so let's decide to do that around here. let's grab this and let's just do a really high level eraser and make it big. Now we just push the shit all into this environment. We'll clean it up later. But yeah, I want this this general wild space coloration going on here in the background to blend into the border. We'll be able to do a cleanup on these things pretty easily, as we've done in the past. So, that's my 20-minute timer telling me not to get focused. I showed up later than I wanted to today because right as I was about to, I was loading up the OBS software to begin streaming, and my camera decided to crap out and restart my computer before it would work again. Like it held me hostage, making me restart my computer. Not appreciated, ChromaCam. Not appreciated at all. But I guess they wanted to push out an update, so here it is. I guess the CIA can spy on me now. Whatever. Hello, Homeland Security. I hope you guys are doing well tonight. Error. More like this. Yes. Together. We're just doing the raw wild space background here initially. Something weird going on with my arm. I haven't done this kind of a bleed effect before, but I think I can probably get away with it in this piece. Reduce the opacity, the strength of the smudge brush so it can blend instead of push. Let's see how this plays out. Maybe it's a good idea, maybe it's not. So far, so good, so what? You know? Bleed up in there, like that. Gotta work it into the canvas first before you can really move on. Kind of like Bob Ross painting. You gotta work that sky into the canvas so that you have a good base color for you to be able to work off of. Put the text on top. Really, what is that down to, a 20? Yeah. 20% strength on the brush.
always takes a little while to work this into the canvas, but I think it's worth the time taken. I like the process. I like the disbursement of pixels. I like feeling how the base, this base background paint is creating a basic, like this text area is lighter than the borders, so the light is implying from the left, right? And you can just see that. You can see how it's lighter to the left, so that's where the source of light in the piece would logically be coming from at this point. So want to just lean into that, build out this blur here. I don't normally push up into the piece like this. It's interesting that I am. It's a change of procedure that, again, I'm inspired to do all the things that I do, so I don't have a lot of control over it. I'm just an observer in the process, and the arm and the mind do what they want to do, and I can separate my consciousness and observations from the motor processes. That's why they call it autonomic, because it happens on its own, despite what I may be. I don't have to actively think about what am I doing. I'm just allowing my reflexes as a painter developed over the past 20 some odd years just does what it wants to do, and I just get to tag along for the ride like you guys do. So this is a process of a discovery for all of us. I like how this lighting is coming in. This feels really nice. Almost there. We almost have it all blended in like it should be. So almost there. Stay on target. Yeah, I want to darken this up a bit because the asteroids that are running around up in here in the sky. I know all this is, like a lot of this stuff is going to end up being erased because background. But I like how it's settling right now. Now we get to do some more asteroid art. I love doing asteroid texture, of course. There we go. Push that up. Blend that in. That's really good. So I want to have a darker space for these asteroids to be drifting through down here, but I want to respect this light source that's coming in and highlighting the air cloud thing here. Just about like that. I'm just blending in the pixels as much as I can into a smooth gradient that's just kind of, I know there's Photoshop filter tricks that I can use, but I'd rather do this manually because it helps me understand the piece better, and it's a skill thing, like being able to draw a circle without having to use guides, you know, like just being able to freely draw a circle. It's a skill set that you have to develop. And so this blending is a similar skill set that ends up serving me in other areas where I'm doing blending and lighting. And I think that's just about got it. Almost there. That feels pretty good. Push this
Cool. All right, so that's our base. This is our line art. Let's see. 1, 2, 3. 3 moons. Let's just start with an earth base, and then we'll wrap an atmosphere around it. Can you get away with? Yeah, let's get away with that. And then we'll build out those asteroids separately. There, and let's go with we're just building out a little. I mean, this is a sphere, so we are just processing the lighting and array and stuff that's on it. Make a unique looking little planet thing. That feels pretty good. Cool. And then let's layer some more sky over it. That's an interesting point. This is a cloud inside of an atmosphere already. Contemplating my next move, because it's a cloud cluster, so the atmosphere is consistent between all of the worlds, so the worlds themselves don't need like their own cloud coverage. The cloud coverage should be coming from the cloud that the moons are inside of, but I do need to have things like water and other shenanigans like that. So let's drift into this space like that.
These are really fun to do. Just little splashes of color that you get to blend together in cool little Rorschach shapes, you know? You gotta limit your scale of small irony. You have to limit the scale of narratives or the depth of detail that you are indulging as a DM during spelljamming campaigns, because the very nature of a sandbox spelljam campaign is that they can just go anywhere and explore anything. So if you are allowing them to discover and hex crawl their way to new planets that you are randomly generating, then you are creating you're creating the atmosphere and spontaneously building continents with possible nations on them, different types of creatures engaging with each other, their own little drama plots going on. It can get really deep, really, really fast, and so you have to limit how much depth of detail you're going into any particular region at any time. So you like, sandboxing is difficult to do once you start entering worlds and trying to affect the politics of it. Like a hex crawl in space is generally better if you limit it to like asteroid clusters, or like in the astral sea, having just limiting the amount of content that you just need, like make it controlled so that you are not overwhelming the need for you to be able to spontaneously generate an entire world. In that sense, I can recognize that AI has use because of the amount of calculations it can crack out and the amount of random RNG that's able to generate in a single button. So in that sense, I do respect the machine. But there's also no control there. You know, the hex crawls are fine, but you want to control the narrative of where they're going, what they're doing, and what they're engaging with, instead of trying to, like, you can RNG a plot and a story for what the adventure is, but you really need to do that before this session, so you have an idea of what the intent of things are. Like, this would, like, if all the moons are inside of the air envelope, that would, I guess they could have their own sub atmospheres that are bound to the spherical gravity of the moons that are inside here, while also having a predominant atmosphere out beyond the range of, beyond the space that the planets occupy with their gravity. So that's what I'm trying to say. But I can have atmosphere bleed off into the environment around it, like a comet's tail. That's kind of a neat idea. I like that. So, like, Spelljammer and Planescape give DMs very powerful tools to build expansive worlds that they can build basically any kind of story that they want inside of it for adventure. But generally you're going to want to limit your scope, because infinity is only interesting if you have borders to bounce off of, right? You have to have a context and an intent and a reason to be, and having motives that are involving other creatures or minds that you would interact with is going to limit the locations that you're going to engage with. Otherwise, you're constantly leaving plot lines behind and not actually engaging in the story. You're running away from the story or trying to control space where you like the players. I've experienced this a number of times over the past 30 some odd years that I've been playing, is that if your team attempts to, like, teams love sandboxes if they want to avoid what plot is on the plate. They'll pick a random direction and run, like literally run away from the plot line right now if they don't like it. And so a new DM that wants to have an open world is going to fall into a trap of the team not liking what's being presented, and since it's an open world, they have permission to run off in a random direction, even if there's no plot over there. It derails DMs real hard. So having an open world needs to be within a certain scope. Like this is going to be a hex crawl, but only from point A to point B. There's like a 200-mile stretch between those two things that you're on foot. We can hex crawl that journey, but the whole campaign is themed around you want to get to point B because that's where the next plot point occurs. So you need to get to that location. You can't just avoid it and run off into the woods for the rest of the campaign without really talking to the DM about, hey, this is our objective. We want to go play Nature Boy off in the woods right now. And like if that doesn't, like, the DM needs to know that's what your plans are. So you can't just up and scoop an adventure and go RNG off someplace thinking that the DM's going to be super cool with that. You got to give them signals and heads up that, you know, this is what we want you to prep. Like when I run a game and we're doing hex crawl type stuff or open campaigns, I will ask them, what is your next objective? Where are you heading? So that I know to build out. So I know that, you know, to buffer the information for that region so it's on tap for you guys when you get there next time. But if they settle into a plot, it's like, look, if you guys abandon this plot, I'm going to have to ditch all this stuff. Why do you want to ditch this story? And if you can get really serious with them and they're willing to be honest, sometimes it's like, well, we don't like this storyline. We wanted to find something else. So, you know, that legitimately happens. They'll all come to an organic solution among the team. It's like, yeah, we don't want to engage with this. Let's leave. But that completely fucks all the work that the DM did for you. So you have to really respect that shit. This is a cool little moon. She likes my spark. Noticing some texture inside here that I'm not interested in maintaining. I want a smoothness in here. Very smooth until I decide to rough it up. Okay. There. Moons. We're gonna call this moons. There we go. One more layer here. I like that one as is. So, man, these things are fun to do. We're going to, I'm excited about lunch today. In about, what is it going to be? It's 7:15 here right now. That means we're looking at, 7:15? About 5 hours from now, maybe a little less, we'll work on the, we'll revisit martial powers and continue building pre-generated characters for the playtest that we'll run next month. Or start next month anyway. God, it's next month. I got a lot on my plate, man. Yeah, so we're going to start up, and so we're building an Azorius Senate fighter battle master using the martial powers mechanics that we've been creating for the past year. We're ready to play test at low levels. The high level stuff went great. Generally, since I actually run campaigns from level 1 to 20, it affords me the opportunity to actually playtest content in a live fire exercise using high-level characters in campaigns. And so, generally, I like operating at high levels to see how broken stuff can get. And if it's not bad, if it's no worse than the normal game is, then it's not really broken. It's just fitting the power curve that you expect inside of 4th tier gameplay, which greenlights the project, and then you reverse engineer it down so that it still feels like you get the feel for how fun it is when it's all maxed out at the high 3rd and 4th tier, to see how potent this stuff is and how well it feels and how quickly you burn through your resources and blah, 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 blah. And once that feels good and it's fun, then you kind of reverse engineer it down to low levels so you can hopefully sustain the same feeling of fun and activity and decision making, but at a lower power, like at a lower power level, you know? Like, your resources don't necessarily have to be less. They just have to do less because you're a lower level. That is an interesting difference in the action economy of, say, 4E, where you always have an at-will, a per encounter, and per day options that just continue to upscale, but the frequency of of reclaiming resources is unchanged. Per encounter, at will is infinite. You just do it as often as you can. Then per encounter is self-explanatory. You can only use it once. Every time you roll initiative, you get those abilities back. And then per day is, when you finish a long rest, and when you wake up in the morning, you get all your stuff back. That's how the resources allocate. But like in 4th E, that that cadence is never interrupted from level 1 to level 20. You always have your at wills, your dailies, and your per encounters. But in 5e and other editions, they have stacking resources that you accumulate more resources to do more stuff as you gain levels. And my brain's been sticking on that a lot lately. That if you pace your resources, that if they're always maxing out what they can do with their resources per round, you should generally have the same cadence of what they're doing at higher levels as what compared to what they're doing at lower levels. Maintaining that same cadence. And if you do one thing at first level and that one thing is going to save you from an encounter, and then you're basically stuck with rudimentary at will stuff that improves your chances of survival some, but they're not automatic wins. Increasing your resources so you have more automatic wins per day creates imbalance in the resource system and the power management of those resources from character to character, unless they're all perfectly balanced with each other. So I'm thinking having resources that are expended at the same, like if you're operating at full tilt to save your character's life, you should be able to burn out of your resources at the same clip as you do at low levels. It's just it takes more resources for you to have a meaningful save, and then that gets into the issue of how skewed do low level spells get at higher levels if they don't have for example don't have a scaling level of quality. Like at first level, the shield spell gives you a +5 armor class, and that +5 armor class remains good for your character throughout the entire 20 level campaign. At 20th level, you're still going to want to throw shield up to increase your armor class by 5. That will never not be useful. But you have so many more resources at these high levels that it becomes a default action that you perform, because the value of expending that minuscule resource continues to increase and become more viable. I think that's an interesting aspect of the martial power system, is that if you're using your powers at max rank, you're going to eat through them as quickly as like a third level character would with lower level powers. But if you sit on your powers and don't ramp them up, then you'll be able to do a shitload of low level powers. But for the most part, powers scale with the expenditure of resources, so you have to spend more mana to get better results from it. So you can still consume your mana at the same clip. I'm pretty proud of that. So I'm hoping we can see some of that see some of that demonstrated with the Battle Master that we built today. That's what I was all trying to say there. Is that I'm excited about martial powers today. I'm going to leave this one dark. I like those two. That looks really good, man. Excuse me. Yeah, that feels pretty good. Neat. All right, so those are the moons. We'll stitch those up, and now we can start working on the cloud itself, and we can bleed off of these clouds in here. See if this does well for us or not.
Okay, good. So if you can break free from the gravity, you can just fly from one planet to the next. It'll take you some time, but you won't run out of. In this array, you shan't run out of oxygen. So it's just a matter of travel time and getting to where you need to be, which is cool. It allows for a fun migration sort of effect. I'm thinking about implementing this for the Spelljammer, my home table, having. The asteroid belt that they're going to mine to be in high atmosphere so that they actually have breathable air everywhere. They aren't isolated. I'm not sure though. I'm still building that idea out. I don't need to know yet, but I need to know soon. TM. We'll figure it out. It'll all fall into place because it's supposed to. No, I'm not into that. Let's take that back while I can. I'm going to leave that top edge there. It helps for definition. Like, you can have an atmosphere that extends from planet to planet like this, and each planet having its own gravity, own spherical gravity field that pulls things to it. It just means that it's going to be constantly pulling in grit and stuff from the clouds that these things sit inside of. Kind of like with the ring world that we were illustrating, I guess like a week or so ago. 3 weeks ago? Last month? It was definitely last month. What is it, 1:30, 7:30? I've got another 20 minutes left. And so it probably means that we're going to finish this up on Tuesday, Monday or Tuesday. I'll be back on Monday. I'll be back on Tuesday. But I'm anticipating, since it's a fairly basic illustration, I am
hoping that I'll be able to resolve it expediently. The lava world that we were illustrating the past couple of days, I plan on finishing that tonight or tomorrow off stage, and then focus on this being completed by Tuesday. Move on to the other illustration. We have a planet illustration to do with a ship in orbit around it. Shouldn't be too difficult to produce that. But we're currently clipping along that we can have this chapter done maybe by Friday, maybe by the 12th next week. I think by the 16th we can realistically have all this chapter's illustration, this appendix illustration done, which leaves us 2 more weeks to finish, get the book finished by the 21st. Though it's very possible it'll actually be like the 1st or 2nd week of February. I'm allowed to backslide. It's my prerogative. I can do that. As long as I'm not running away from the project or procrastinating unreasonably, I can backslide as much as I need to, buy myself a little bit more time by just pushing the deadline. But late January, very early February is still very realistic for this. This is starting to feel pretty cool over here. That's really cool. There we go. I love that. This looks great. God, oh my God, this is going to be such a great piece. Fuck. It's going to be such a great piece. Disperse. Blend. Blend that all into effect. There we go.
seems pretty good. I just want to blend these into the canvas, and then I'm going to create separate effects like that for each of the planets, so they like have their own standing but are overlapping with each other, kind of like how an atmosphere with a bunch of orbs floating around of it would kind of do, you know? Like there's going to be layers. It's not just a parallax background that just kind of sits there. It's when these bodies are inside of the atmosphere cloud, the cloud's going to move and be sculpted and influenced by the objects moving through it. So there's a dimensionality, like there's a volume to it that feels layered and progressive, like procedurally, like building through it. Anyway, that's the idea behind it. Let's take this, add that as a separate layer. Drop this down first and get the rest of this all resolved. That's feeling pretty good. A lot of just soft blending here, not a lot of architecture or precise line work. Just blending in value and color together to make just neat little. A lot of clouds going on in this piece. A lot of happy clouds. And that's probably just want to work that into the canvas. There, good. Then blend this out. Good. Then blend this down. Into the canvas like that. Feels pretty good. Okay, cool. I'm content with that. So, clouds. Oh, I'm loving this. This is cool.
love how this atmosphere is kind of like peeling away from the planet, like in layers. That's really cool. Like you have the actual planet side atmosphere, then you have the upper sphere that then blends into the cloud whole. So the larger mass. I love that. That's such a fun way to transition from the spherical gravity of the planets inside of this cloud space to non-gravity, but still atmospheric. You know, God, that's cool. I love this. This is exactly the kind of stuff I was hoping to find inside of this illustration. This is so cool. And now that we're developing this shell language, as it were, we can come back and we can potentially revisit this and shell that up a little bit more. I don't want to lose the script though, because we're going to have all these little asteroids floating away over here. I want to make sure that there's layering, so we have the atmosphere here of the cloud pushed back further from where these asteroids are floating away from towards the camera. But in the meantime, I still want to explore this shelling effect. Fuck, that's cool. That's a lot of pixel pushing. Because of the lack of structure from line work or architecture, objects and stuff like that, I actually have to be a little bit more attentive to where I'm pushing lines into the space, what kind of a form am I built. Oh, my burner. Coffee wants me to drink.
Yes, sir.
Bruh. So there's a balance between wispiness and bluster and diffusion that have to blend together. For me, it's still a delicate process because I don't fully understand how these like the current of it, like the current of the wind and stuff, how it would disperse and diffuse throughout the piece. So I'm still in my own haze, as it were, of figuring out how this works. But it's fun. It's fucking fun. More diffused, so a lighter opacity to desaturate or to thin out the pixel weight inside of that piece to disperse the color a little bit more. I'm wondering if like these atmospheric bleeds that we're looking at here are like some sort of a conduit that can be rode off of the spherical gravity of the planet into the larger nebula. that would create pathways on and off of a planet that can be guarded. That's a cool idea. I guess anyone could just fall from the sky, but now then there's the issue of getting out of, I mean, like getting into gravity is easy. Getting out of gravity is the trick, right? So these pathways that we're building here into the atmosphere, to the planet, to the large, like this bridge that we're creating here are like literal bridges that can lead you out of the world into the larger cloud structure. That's a neat idea. I like that. Feels pretty good. Yeah, we can do that. I don't want to overwork it. I want to leave some of it blustery, swept instead of blended. You know. Just kind of making up language as we go, so I'm not sure if the words I'm using are the proper descriptive of the effect I'm trying to create. Oh man, we're almost out of time. We got a minute left. So we're going to have to leave it here. This thing's coming along though. We have a third layer. I hear you. Give me another minute. That's pretty fun. And then clouds. And then over that we've got So I think we'll leave it here for now. We still got some work to do, but I like the progress that we're making. All right, that's all the time I have. Oh man, I love working on this. This shit. These things are fun. I need to make sure that we're keeping the shapes well defined. If we could do like that. And then use the cloud coverage here. The muse won't let me go. She wants me to play a little bit longer, so here we are. Playing just a little bit longer. Nice. This is exactly the type of effect I wanted to have going on. All right. I think it was Van Gogh that said, or was it Da Vinci, that when the best time to stop is when you want to keep going, so that when you come back to the piece the next session, you're excited to keep pushing forward with where you're at. And boy, I am excited about pushing forward with this piece. This is super fun. So when we come back, I'm going to be back here in about 4.5 hours, maybe 4 hours. I'll be back for more martial powers today. I'll be off for the rest of the night. I'll be back tomorrow morning in approximately 25.5 hours for me to probably work on the Rubble Belt hex scroll campaign that we're building as a playtest for the martial power system that we've developed. That you can see that later on today. You can see it tomorrow. Keep moving forward with me. Yeah, I will see you guys hopefully in a little while. Cheers.